At the beginning, it went bad, really bad.
Hmm.
When it just started selling, I live in Colombia.
Hmm.
It's a country in South America, and here I live in the capital city where safety is not the best. When I released the phone, I got robbed of everything I had. My little laptop that I was working on, my phone, like my school notebooks.
Hello, welcome to Metaverse Degen. I'm Lion. There's no Raptor today, but we are here joined by our fantastic guest.
I'm Yeusepe, hi.
Hello, thank you very much for joining me today. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to sit here and talk with you. Oh, oh.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
So, let us start with the big three. What are you known for? How'd you get started? How'd you find yourself in a VR chat?
Right. So, what am I known for? I guess my little trinkets and gadgets. I develop little assets
Hmm.
for like connecting VR chat with the real world via OSC or other connections. Probably most people know me for the jammer and the song thing, which are like my two biggest assets. They're
Hmm.
little devices that connect your Spotify to your VR chat directly, so you
Oh
can
wow.
control your library, your music. You can create jams and join them, everything from within the game.
Oh wow.
Um, I get started. Oh man. It was probably like, uh, yeah, like 2023 when I kind of had this idea of making a little like interactable phone,
Hmm.
and that was my first ever asset. I just started developing it and kind of like making stuff up as I went. And back then there wasn't like really a lot of documentation. VRC3 wasn't even a thing then. So it was just a lot of making it along as I went and, you know, like learning. And it's like, I think that's the best way to learn.
Oh,
And then the other one, what was the other question?
how'd you find yourself in a VR chat? How'd you get in?
How did I get into VR chat? Um, I think it was, yeah, no, the pandemic. Uh, 2019, just graduated. My graduation gift was a Quest 2.
Hmm. Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh, so if you've been here since 2019, how did what was your journey between you hopping in for the first time and then building the phone in 2023? What led up to that moment for you to start making gadgets and stuff?
Hmm. Well, first it started with like taking interest to avatars. That's where everyone starts. I fell in love with the Rex. I think that's a great model. And I started doing textures for it. My first ever texture, I downloaded very legally Substance Painter, and I did a little like blue character, and that was my first character here. And it kind of like went and evolved from that. So it started with a little character. Then I got my proper persona. After that, I started building more and more things until I sat down and I was like, hey, I like really want to make something like this. So I just started building it. It kind of evolved from building little things, little avatar stuff, into bigger and bigger things.
Oh, wow. So what inspired the phone, may I ask? The your first ever gadget, the phone. What inspired it and how did it go?
It inspired me because I hate overlays. They're so buggy and they're so janky and they take me out of the game so much. Kind of like having to press a button and finagling with the controllers and the pointer. Where do I need to like click and everything? It's just such a big hassle. And I wanted something better. I wanted something that could keep me in the game. I didn't have to click. There's like also this thing where overlays tanked my performance. I used
Hmm.
to run this game on like a little laptop with a 1050 in it.
Oh, wow.
So anytime I opened I opened the overlay, the FPS would just tank. So it was kind of like my workaround to be able to enjoy, but at the same time be able to control the rest of what I needed.
Oh, So it basically functioned as a monitor for you, like instead of the OVR thing.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So how did I now have the questions? How did you get you to view your monitor through VR chat asset mask? Is that like an easy thing to do?
Oh, so no. What I did was the phone is full of contacts,
Hmm.
and I developed different applications for everything that I needed inside of the phone.
Oh.
And using OSC, I directly translated that to the world. So that way I didn't have to,
Oh.
finagle with all the laser and everything. I pinpointed like what I needed and I put it on the phone. And I remember I was with a friend at the time and they were like, you should totally sell this. You should upload and sell this asset and people will like it. And it did. It went really well and it's what allowed me to, continue going. That thing is really what paid for my university.
Oh wow. Congratulations, by the way. That's pretty
So
impressive.
thank you. Yeah, and it's just been growing from there, being bigger and bigger and bigger projects.
Mm. So after the phone, what projects came next and what inspired those projects?
All right, so first was the phone, then was the QR code scanner. That
Mm.
was when I found out VRCOSE. VRCOSE was this little small program back then that allowed you to make like custom modules for OSE. So you could connect the game into other stuff. And I developed the module of the QR code scanning for the game. And after that was the jammer. That is also like one of the biggest assets I have, which it's a little watch that allows you to join like jams with your friends from within the game.
Mm.
I don't know if you're familiar with the
I'm
jams.
I'm not familiar with
They're
it. Would you mind explaining what it is?
Of course. Spotify has this neat little feature called Spotify Jams. Spotify Jams allow you and infinite other friends to join the same listening party. You can either listen from the same speaker or have each one of you listen from your own speakers. It's really cool for VR because you can all listen to the same music at the same time.
Ooh.
But sharing it is kind of a hassle. You have to share a link like remotely, and then that link they have to put on the other side. They have to go into the browser, click accept, yada yada yada, and the little jammer allows you to do stuff inside everything inside VR. After that came update 2.0, which is when we integrated Shazam into the jammer, so you could Shazam songs inside the game.
Oh wow.
Shazam, for those who aren't aware, it's a music recognition system where when you activate it, it'll actually listen to your music. And based on what it listens, it'll give you what song is playing. You can even hum it. You can be someone playing it through a speaker or through their microphone. It can be on the world. It'll automatically recognize it and save it for you for the future. And after that is the biggest project I've made, which is the song thing. That entirely takes your entire Spotify library, your playlist, artists, songs, everything, and puts it in a device where you can control it inside of the game. You can start jams with it, join jams with it. You can like control playback, so skip forwards, backwards, play pause. You can see what's playing. Others can see what's playing. It's like your entire Spotify library inside of the game.
Oh wow. So I've got some questions about the jammer and the song thing. Is how
Yeah.
did you have the knowledge to do that beforehand, or is that something you kind of figured out on the way?
Yeah, working with the people over there, they are so smart. They know their craft so much. Like talking with them, you actually get to understand a lot of the decisions behind a lot of the tech, a lot of the decisions behind, what gets included, what doesn't get included at the behind of the scenes of how it works.
Mm.
Thankfully, I got access to a lot of development stuff that a lot of people don't. So I got to see a lot behind the scenes,
Mm.
which is a lot of fun. And like they're so incredibly like nice and especially thankful for developers. The developers are who built the Spotify platform and are who power, most of the integrations that they have today. And they're really, really grateful about how like and open to working with other people, working with developers and listening to them. And for how really the song thing works, it's like fairly complex. We ended up developing a custom shader for the song thing. It's a custom UI shader which runs directly everything that's fetched from the server, then uploaded into the avatar and rendered through the shader as kind of like a custom UI render.
Mm.
It allows us to make kind of like it allows us to make UIs directly like on or organized on the shader.
Mm.
We like it's super neat.
Ooh.
You can see the effort that we put into the shader when you see it interact with the controllers and everything. Just the animations and how everything came together. We're very proud of it.
Oh, so I do have a little bit of a question. May I ask, what kind
Yeah.
of did you have any like personal expertise for any of this stuff prior to VRChat, like through college, as you said, or is this kind of stuff you picked up with these projects, like shader work and working in Blender and Unity, avatar creation stuff?
Well, no, everything I've picked up along the way. I'm going to college for software and systems engineering,
Ah,
but most of the stuff that I've done and learned is through pure osmosis.
ah,
So by just doing and learning and failing and doing and learning and failing again and again and again, you get to learn a lot and it gets engraved into your head. It's not like sitting down and watching a video, which you'll forget it by the next day. By continuously trying and trying new things and trying to problem solve alongside the constraints that VRChat has, because VRChat, they have a lot of potential, but at the same time they encapsulate a lot of what you can do inside an avatar. They put you in a box. So thinking ways to work inside the box is what has led me to learn a lot of the stuff. For example, for the song thing or for the jammer, how to transmit data between two avatars. It was a big problem that we had to solve through so VRChat's implementation of networking is a bit wonky, especially between avatars in terms of latency and a lot of technical jargon that I don't think we can get into.
huh.
But figuring out how to share that information between avatars and doing so in a way that VRChat doesn't get angry and kind of like allows the avatar to go through it was very pretty complex. And trying to learn all that by, I think, watching tutorials is not something you can really do. You really have to get your hands dirty, put your full hand inside the garden and tend to the flowers.
How long did it take to figure that out? Because I remember watching a friend of mine deal with network latency and draw calls working on the virtual gauntlet, working on one of the games specifically. How long did it take you to figure out like transmitting data between avatars? That sounds like a quite interesting thing to try and figure out.
Oh, it took like 6 or 7 months. It was most of the time developing the jammer was actually developing the tech behind it. The jammer itself, the little puck and the little animations and graphics, that was done maybe in 1 to 2 months. The tech behind the connection, the transmission, the understanding, the sending, everything took way longer than a normal asset would.
Oh, okay. So, may I ask, from these projects, what have been some of the hardest things you've had to learn and how did you overcome that problem?
Okay. The hardest problem, I think, is understanding the underlying problem that you have. How I approach certain technical problems is, hey, I want to do this. Let's break it down into different levels until we get to the root blockage. For example, when transmitting data between avatars, the main blockage for us was just latency. When you do transmit something, specifically in this game, it arrives in complete disorder. When you send a lot of the similar stuff, for example, for face tracking, you send the same number pretty similarly across stuff. So you don't really notice. But when you're sending more critical stuff, those parameters can get lost or can arrive in disorder. And that was the biggest issue. We had to start from the bottom up. How can we make a system that, like, independently and consistently is able to reproduce the data that we sent? And like once that first building block was set, it's so much easier to keep working. So for the general like flow of assets that I make, first is try and find the biggest roadblock and tackle that first. Because after you tackle that first roadblock, everything else is like a cruise.
Okay. So is there any roadblocks that kind of stumped you the most, and what are some of the processes that took you to like problem solve your way out of it, Mask?
Ooh, okay. One of the biggest roadblocks I had recently was for the song thing. The song thing, because you cannot stream images into the game through avatars, that is something you can do. I had to somehow load them into the avatar. What is the problem? Some people, like me, have 10, 20,000 songs in their catalog. How do you put 20,000 album arts, 20,000 images inside of the game? More specifically, how do you render the text for each one of the images or each one of the songs, or each one of the albums? You know, that was like a big problem. The shaders don't like messing with text. The spacing is terrible. The aliasing, it looks all blocky and it looks all. You've seen it. There's a lot of assets that use clocks or kind of like they use keyboards and everything, and they all do text through what's called an atlas, which is an array of images like pasted together. And you can see they don't look nice like they do on the web. We wanted it to look as close as the Spotify app as possible, which meant developing a new way of rendering the text inside the shader, as well as optimizing how we display the text, as well as how we display the images, and taking advantage of all of the tools that were given to us. 2D texture arrays. A lot of people don't use 2D texture arrays. We had to. How do you pack those 2D texture arrays? What are the formats? It's a lot of thinking, because having 20,000 images, that is 1.5 gigabytes of VRAM, 2 gigabytes of VRAM. You can't have that running VR chat.
Not at all.
So yeah, just kind of like figuring that out. And it started mostly with understanding the tech. Laying everything out on the table. Like, we can do this, 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 and this. How can we use all of these tools that we've given to be able to build something, amazing from the ground up? And it took a lot of talking. That is something that a lot of people I think are also scared of. And that is talking to other creators, talking to other people who definitely know more than I and that you do. There's so many smart and intelligent creators. Gumbo Island, the creator of the Gumbo, has such a prowess for computational thinking. Or, for example, there's Asuki, the creator of the Mayu, who is really good at programming with animator as code. So go out there and ask. Most of these people are incredibly nice, and they will say yes and answer any questions that you have. Just don't be scared to ask.
I've heard that that bit of advice before to a lot of people. Don't be afraid to talk or ask people things. I think with VR chat, though, I think a lot of people have that bit of hesitancy, especially with some of the bigger names, because a lot of people, let's say like you're the average VR chatter just starting out, and they look to someone like you, you look like an idol to them. It's like, I don't want to bother the guy. I just want to, So I think a lot of VR chatters tend to have that kind of mentality a lot of the time when trying to reach out to people. I remember when I first started, I was the exact same way.
See, you have to kind of approach it in a different light. A lot of these people do this because it's their passion. For me, it has thankfully allowed my passion to become my main line of work. This is what I do for a living.
Oh, wow.
And because it is my passion, I always love to talk about it. So if you come ask me, I will come answer you enthusiastically. I love what I do. And most of the people love what they do too. Go ask Vivi about how they make their beautiful avatars, or Julia, or Lindy. Lindy's so nice. Lindy is so nice, and they have created such a good pipeline for building assets kind of like efficiently and quickly that are so much fun and so creative, and have built such an amazing community. Ask really. These people are passionate about what they do. I am passionate about what I do. If you come ask me, like, nicely, I'll 100% come and help you out.
Hmm. So the passion you have now, is that something that followed you into VR chat, or is it something you discovered while playing VR chat?
I discovered it while playing. Kind of like I started with a love of graphic design, and that kind of like devolved and morphed throughout the years into more 3D work, Blender, Substance, and it just like it became my calling. I love, like kind of like solving these problems in the 3D space, and I love this platform. So kind of like it went along the tracks of I like creating stuff, and that creates stuff like liking creating stuff allowed me to go into more advanced topics.
I've noticed VRChat is that fun way of taking somebody who's coming here with just like to explore, and then bringing on an adventure that they end up at a very different place from where they started. Like, for example, with you came in and now you're making assets and stuff. As you said, it's your living. That's crazy. And that's actually pretty awesome. And I want to at least say congratulations on being able to take the thing you enjoy and make it a living. I remember I was in a hospital a long time ago, and an older gentleman who was like dressed up in a suit, and I don't remember the conversation they're having, but the ended up with advice, and the advice he said is take what you enjoy, and then first, and then bring it into your living, like doing it for a living. And so I'd say congratulations on coming to VR chat and finding both in the same place.
Yeah, I think so many people could be able to do their passion if they overcame their frustration. There are times where I said, should I get a corporate job? And this was before releasing the jammer, where the phone sales started like dropping off, and kind of like I was feeling a bit kind of like under the weather. I had to pay for my college. There was so many responsibilities coming up. I kind of like started feeling the pressure of life. But overcoming that pressure is very important, because after you overcome it, you can enjoy what you do. A lot of people, I think, come into VR chat with so many different expectations, and they meet so many creative people that is what channels the drive into creation and kind of like development, or just having fun. I have a lot of friends who are, for example, I don't know, medics. I have a friend who is a medic, and they started doing clothes for VR chat, and they're doing very well.
Wow.
Considering like doing this full time. And it's kind of like those doors that you have to kind of like peek and open that allow you to enjoy what you do and do like and then monetize what you do. And it also kind of like, with the topic of frustration, there is a very big kind of like lesson that I was taught by my mom, which was kind of, you have to kayak your errors. You have to imagine you are kayaking down a very, very turbulent torrent. It's very difficult to stay up. It's very difficult to see through the water until you like the end. You just going through the ride, and you will bump into things, and you will flip the kayak. Always flip the kayak. It's very important that you flip it back, and that you work through the frustrations and learn from the frustrations. Don't bump through to the same rock. Don't flip in the same places. And after you go to the end of the river, you'll be able to see the beautiful scenery. Just I hate saying hang in there, but hang in there.
Sometimes though, with learning things, that is the first thing you got to do is hang in there. So the toughest lessons come through part of the
Hmm.
journey. And I think a lot of people, when it comes to like creation or building things, they kind of look at the numbers and go, I don't like this. There's no result. I'm not doing it. I quit. And I see that all the time in VR chat. People like want to start a group
Oh yeah.
and
Oh my
as soon
god.
as they start seeing like the results isn't happening, they're done. Like they don't even bother sticking it through.
Hmm. Oh my god. I saw a horrible example of that. Like someone in one of the social medias that I have,
Hmm.
they were posting progress of an avatar that they were building, and the post didn't do well, and it was very discouraging for them. The next post it was I'm not posting about this again. Like people are interested. It broke my heart because it's so interesting.
Hmm.
Don't let social media discourage you from what you do. I don't post about anything that I do. The process. Maybe I should, but kind of like don't allow your expectations affect the outcome of what you're building, because what you're building is so cool.
Hmm.
They were building a smooth transition between different like expressions
Hmm.
without using blend trees,
Oh wow.
and it was such a cool system. It was such a cool system, and it was so elegant. And just don't get discouraged. These systems are so cool, and seeing them in action and seeing people post about them and working on them makes me excited. And I come just to beg you to please keep working on it, because it is those little ideas that end up snowballing into really cool things and
Hmm.
into things that become standards. VRC Theory started like a little script that was built like in a day, and now it's the standard. The same with modular avatars, the same with high stuff. Just keep building,
Hmm.
and keep working, and don't get discouraged if you don't see like good numbers, because the numbers will follow where passion follows.
Hmm. You know, something I notice is a lot of the time in the process of getting to success, people always doubt or not be interested until after you get there. And then all of a sudden they're very interested in whatever it is you're doing after it's
Mm-hmm.
finished. So in terms of like the process, I'm going to actually agree with you there. Stick through it. A lot of the time, the process to get there is going to be the hardest part because no one's going to believe in you. No
Mm-hmm.
one's going to give a flying shit about anything you're doing until after it's done. And then they're going to give a shit.
And oh my god, just stop looking at the big people. Get
Mm,
inspired by the big people. Don't follow the big.
mm,
Seeing, okay, for example, seeing Lindy.
mm,
Lindy pulls so much likes on their stuff. I mean, obviously their stuff is very well made, but you as a small creator are not going to start like that. You have to start building and building and building, and surround yourself of smaller creators that do the same thing that you do. Um, Apply for stuff that you normally don't do. For example, a lot of people that have come up to me after, for example, Virality, come and ask, "How did you do it? How did you apply here and like build the things and just do it? Throw yourself onto the problem." A lot of people are scared for it, like of a no. But what is a no gonna do? A no is not gonna like ruin your product. A no is not gonna stop you from making shit. Excuse me. Um,
mm,
just for example, a lot of people don't apply to the Japanese side of the world. They are building some crazy stuff over in Japan. A lot of people don't apply for booth, don't apply for like the VCAT, the virtual market. They they are afraid that their stuff is not good enough. It is good enough. I can tell you from my first asset was trash, and I've learned how to make it better along the way, and so are you. So just kind of like don't look up to the big people, learn from the big people.
mm. So I'll ask you this. In your own journey, how did you manage like the growing, being a growing creator, watching everyone else around you and stuff? How did you handle all this?
Thankfully, I was off social media a lot of the time. So that helped. Kind of like through the process of making stuff at the beginning, I didn't even promote stuff on Twitter. I didn't promote stuff on Instagram or other marketplaces. And I think that's disconnect is what helped me, because I feel like a lot of people get discouraged when they see a post get 20, 30,000 likes on a whim, while their stuff is like kind of difficult to rake like any likes.
Mm.
And just disconnect yourself from that. I disconnected myself. I surrounded myself with people that really know what they do, even if they're not big, even if they're huge. Surround like that is aside. Just they are very smart, very intelligent. They are very talented, very creative, and that is the type of people you gotta attract and kind of build yourself off of.
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, you will end up making stuff that people like.
Oh, so along your journey, what have been some mentors you've had along the way, and what kind of advice did you receive from them? What has stuck with you?
Meaty Thighs. Meaty Thighs is an amazing. They have helped me with promotion, learning how to manage my social media, how to manage kind of like the more social stuff, because I'm a developer first, I'm not a people person. And having them kind of guide me through it really helped me. There is like Gumbo's another one. Uh, Gumbo Island, like he has such a way with logic and understanding that just very, very talented people. Uh, I'm kind of like just I met a lot of people by pure chance. And not by pure chance, but by like going to places where these kind of people conglomerate. You know,
Mm.
say I met them at the Ferality Dealers. Then that is a great place to go. Or in Booth, the VK is also a great place to go on the opening ceremony where all the creators are. You can go there and you can speak to people and you can friend people, and they are very good at what they do. So yeah, just kind of like find the spaces where the creatives exist.
Mm. So you mentioned something earlier I'd like to ask about, just from like your
Mm-hmm.
perspective thing. You said earlier it was the phone that you that blew up that was able to help you pay for college.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like seeing you that blow up and then be able to like watch it kind of grow from something you posted? May I ask, how did you
Oh
respond?
man, at the beginning it went bad, really bad.
Mm.
When it just started selling, I live in Colombia.
Mm.
It's a country in South America. And here I live in the capital city where safety is not the best. When I released the phone, I got robbed of everything I had. My little laptop that I was working on, my phone, like my school notebooks. And it was really, really low. And then for some reason, Gumroad just decided to push the discovery of the phone, and it started building and building and building and building, and it snowballed into like just eye-watering sales.
Oh.
A lot of it felt kind of like overwhelming. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know anyone that could help me with it. No one, like something that didn't tell you taxes. Taxes, like you do with taxes. And it's not something that you think about until they arrive, or for example updates or stuff like maintenance, having a support server. Just it was too fast.
So some of those things you mentioned, like the taxes, the support server, and updates,
Mhm.
when it was blowing up, how did you find your solutions? Was it more like you're just throwing things at the wall and hoping something would stick, or did you have like people guide you through the process?
Oh no, for taxes you have to ask. Don't throw stuff at the wall for taxes.
No.
Here there's two government entities, no, three government entities here in Colombia that work, and that is the tax people, the bank people, and the survey people. Those are the only three entities that work, and they will come for you. So for taxes, I did have to ask for so much help, but for kind of like the rest, I did figure it out along the way. I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of kind of like not knowing what to do, not knowing what to ask, giving a lot of my time out. Kind of managing time is very difficult, especially managing burnout. If you are a bit neurodivergent, you know that if you are really into something, you will pour your entire spirit into it. And it is very easy for that slippery slope to just drain the energy out of you. And doing support with people 24/7, like not writing proper tutorials, not like learning what people kind of like do and behavior wise is something that you have to learn along the way. Or ask a bigger creator and have them kind of like guide you, but they don't know everything. I don't know. So for example, for tutorials, I figured out what works best with my audience. What is the best way to, separate doing support at 11 p.m. with someone that kind of like doesn't understand Unity and respecting your time. So kind of just hanging in there.
Well, let's say, for example, there's someone who's just about to start selling things. How would you manage your time and decide who to help and who not to help? How do you gauge that, may I ask? If you're
Help
talking
everyone. That is, yeah, that's something that I'll say is help everyone. When it comes to your asset, not when it comes to help, because that is another thing. A lot of people will come to ask you for help. Moderate yourself in how involved you are in that process. Because if you involve yourself too much in that process, you are going to end up burnout. So kind of like feel it as you go. If you start feeling drained, pull back. Don't force yourself. Forcing yourself is the worst thing you can do. And for someone that's just starting, I say kind of like, let's see, it's a good advice. Let me think. Just learn from the people that you talk to. A lot of people have different audiences. There's people that are their audience is very experienced, kind of like Unity people. Stuff that, for example, the retopology tools that are for Unity. The people that use them probably know a lot more than Unity than the people that use the Jammer, because that is a more wide audience market. I get people that have developed avatars and systems for a long time, as well as people who this is their first asset and they're opening Unity for the first time. They don't know what VRC Fury is. So kind of just understand who you're selling to. And based on who you're selling to, gauge how much effort you put into a system. Right? If you have someone who doesn't know Unity, come into your support server and start talking like, I need help with this. Gauge how much effort you're going to put into helping this person understand the systems. Are you willing to put the time in and have this person learn Unity from scratch? Or are you going to point them somewhere like VR school, VRC school, or teach them more like towards their end and you're a little bit more disconnected? Because it is very important to not give 100% of your energy to 100% of the people. 100% of your energy to 100% of the people will take away time for development, will take away time for, playing video games, watching movies, being with your friends. So a tool that has really worked for me is I don't do support until you give me a date that works. So if you have a problem, I tell you, listen, I am free this and this and this time. We can do support there. And that separation of, hey, I don't give support in my free time, and I have like developed times and kind of like hours for it to work, has allowed me to keep a more like balance, because there's a lot of people who need support.
Okay. So
It's crazy too.
I bet it is.
Like, if you see, I have a small server in comparison. I don't know how Lindy does it. I look at that server and there's so many people just asking for help, and I'm like, oh my god, they really love their craft.
Well, I'm sure after a certain size too, you'll have people from within your server that will help each other out as well. Because over time,
Oh yeah,
like for example, as you're growing, I'm sure the people you've helped solve things for your assets, eventually those people won't leave your server. And when people bring things up in your server, then they're like, "Oh, I remember. Here's how you fix the thing," and then they'll transfer over.
yeah,
I'm
they
sure
do,
Lindy's would be
they
the
do.
exact same.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Really quick, really quick. Hi, I'm here to interrupt the episode. If you're interested in learning more about VRChat creators and communities across the platform, you should check out Nova Notes Podcast over on YouTube, Spotify, and many other platforms. It's my podcast. I run a podcast as well. Hi, my name is Nova Player. I gotta go. Don't have much time. Gotta go.
Yeah, and I mean, I've also built a lot of tools to automatize a lot of this stuff.
Hmm.
So recently, for example, I had a lot of frustrations with the way verification work. A lot of people get lost when it comes to license keys and like learning how to manage stores and everything. So I automatized. That is a difficult word. My accent is not helping.
I'm gonna be honest with you. You speak better
Um,
English than a lot of people in the United States who speak English. So I wanted to give you 100%. You do a great
Really?
job. Yeah, you're doing a wonderful job.
Yeah, so if I say hamburger or chocolate, I get into tongue twisters. But no, what was I saying? Oh yeah, automatization, automatizing your work so you get a lot offloaded off your shoulders is very important. Back into the Discord bot, I made it so that people only have to sign into their Gumroad account or put one license key in for Jinxie, and it automatically verifies everything else. And it's so much simpler because that way I don't have to remind people, hey, you have not verified, you have not gone through the process. A lot of people, and this I think is something that every creator has to learn. People do not read. They hate reading. They like images, they hate reading. So making the system and the process be as hand-holdy as possible is a lot of effort, but it will save you so much time.
I've heard that statement from so many people. Like I was talking with some world builders before, and the whole the start button. You can make it big and red and in their face. You can attach it to their face, and they're not going to see it. How do I start the game? Where's the button? I've heard that statement of people
Oh
don't
my
like
God.
reading so often.
And like that is like a big thing for UI design. That is something a lot of people also kind of like gotta learn in this, because you are what is called in Colombia todero, or you do everything. You have every job. I am a graphic designer, programmer. I am a marketing, like I'm a salesman. I am my own lawyer. Like kind of you have to form your craft around everything, and a lot of the stuff also comes down into UX practices, user experience, user design. There's some really good books, really good resources online. Coursera is actually amazing for understanding user patterns and learning how your audience uses a product can tell you so much about how to make it so that less people come into your server saying it's not working, you know just because just sitting down with someone like that is something I always do, which is I give the product to someone, no instructions, use it, and seeing them struggle will always give you clues on what you can improve so that it's easier next time, and so that you get people out of your server.
Ooh, so I have a question on that. What were some of the things that you were, when developing to automatize or make things easier on the user, what were some things you weren't expecting when you were like putting out some assets or just starting to develop stuff?
How much people use their hands.
Hmm.
I figured out that actions are easier to learn and automatize than kind of like menus and words. For example, for the song thing, I debated for so long how you were going to interact with it. Was it going to be like a pointer, like a regular VR chat? Is it going to be touching? Is it going to be, for example, is it going to be like little buttons, little rockers? Is it going to be gestures? What we ended up on is actually kind of mirroring back into what Apple did with their iPod. That is something very important to learn from the people who already do stuff. They have figured it out. They have spent millions and millions and millions of dollars into research. Learn from them. Apple, the WWDC videos, the developer videos, they are a godsend. I recommend watching the designing UI for spatial interfaces, designing something very sound for user interfaces. Kind of all of those resources, they've spent billions of dollars into research. Use what they've spent to your favor. Knowing that and experimenting with that, the best input method that we figured out was just flicking. If you flick your controller, you skip, you go backwards, you play pause, you go to a menu, and it's already implemented in the VR chat menu, so it's very familiar to the user, and it's very intuitive to learn. So they, even if they're not watching, they can control the device.
Oh wow.
So yeah, kind of watch someone use your stuff, and when you watch someone use your stuff, it'll be more obvious what you have to improve, because you are the creator. You know your product, you know the ins and outs of it. Someone else doesn't.
Oh, so I have a quick question about the flicking. How do you when people use your product and they're flicking to switch things, how can your product tell what's an interaction and what someone is like, for example, talking with their hands?
I don't know
Math.
So for flicking, it's actually flicking of the joystick. So it's polar coordinates and collect smoothing algorithms and just a lot of math.
Oh, okay.
But most of the stuff is already figured out. You just gotta kind of look into research papers and math. Don't be scared of looking into stuff. A lot of this stuff is already done. It's very difficult to invent something. So kind of take inspiration from different places, and from that inspiration, go ahead and make your own. But reinventing the wheel every time is so kind of like, you could be spending your energy developing a better product rather than inventing from the systems themselves.
So Mask was like, for using the developer notes and information, how did you come across those, Mask, when like building and working on your own stuff?
Kind of trying to have an idea of what you wanted to do and work yourself like down it. So hey, I want this to rotate and flick. Find games, find systems, find hardware. You don't have to be limited to VR. You can be inspired by real world stuff. We got inspired by the iPod. You could be inspired by how different stuff moves, how different stuff works in your life. One of the creators that I admire the most is the creator of Yeusepe Lens, and I'm not gonna butcher their name. It's a Japanese name. I'm not even gonna attempt it. But they kind of like took what already existed in kind of shader systems and the camera systems and everything that you were given, and flipped it on his head. I'm gonna go into like a bit of technical talk, but
go for it.
There's something called a kernel. A kernel is basically what you use to compute the little bokeh that you get on the back when you take a picture. Their implementation is so elegant. I've not yet to find another camera in VR chat that is so well made for that. There's other examples. There's the official one, but it's so well made. It's really well made, and the way that, for example, they figured out how to do autofocus with just shaders. and interact it with just shaders. It blows my mind. I've learned so much on how to do stateful shaders, because shaders, funny enough, they don't have memory. Shaders don't remember anything. Shaders forget everything every single time they get called. So kind of trying to make it so that shaders learn stuff and they like remember stuff from the previous stuff. And that's a thing for the jammer. So for the jammer, to communicate between avatars, we actually use shaders. We send data to your display and we could read that off of it. But it had to be a continuous stream of data, which means we had to figure out a way to have the shader remember what came before it. And it's very complicated. The VRC Lens implementation helped me learn a lot from it. And kind of taking inspiration from other places that isn't VR or video games or digital is very important for developing a good product. There's a lot of good product design, graphic design, and in general kind of ideas elsewhere that are not just in this bubble.
So I have another question for you as well in terms of your products. With the UI design and the design of your products, how people interact with it and what it looks like, how did you come to the decision that they should look like this?
I mean, for the Spotify stuff, it's kind of very easy because they already have a brand set up and they very much appreciate their brand being followed when it comes to products that use it. It's not a strict requirement, but it can very much allow the user to feel familiar with what they're using. You know, if you present them with something they've used before, they will probably know how to use it again. And they understand what it means, they understand what it doesn't mean. So for those Spotify products, designing it was pretty easy. You know, just take the branding design guidelines, the kind of existing design that they have, and put it over to VR. For stuff more like your CQR or some of the other tools that I've built for example, Unity, like Package Exporter or the bot or everything else, it's a lot of what I said, trial and error. The first iterations of the product will never, work, and they won't work well. That's why you give them to someone else and you see how they use it. You know, where do they click? Where do they look? Do they look elsewhere? Where does the mouse go normally? If they open a page, what is the first instinct for them to do? And then you start iterating and iterating and iterating on that.
Okay. So I'm just kind of curious for my own personal sake. So when working with Spotify, what was their thoughts on VR and VR chat as a whole, Mask? Did you ever get some of how did they view the social VR space?
I mean, I can't talk for Spotify. Officially, I'm not collaborating, endorsed, or otherwise associated. Spotify, AB, and Yeusepe Club are two separate corporate entities, yada, yada, yada. But in general, they're very open to developers. They really like exploring new ideas. They really like hearing new ideas. They really like seeing new ideas. There's a big one, which is Spotty Stats, which recently became Stats FM, which has been a boom. And they've really kind of try to learn from it and build from it. It's a little tool that lets you see the stats of your Spotify, but kind of like Spotify Wrapped, but bigger picture. You can see what's your most streamed artist of the past couple of weeks, the most streamed album in the last couple of weeks, the whole statistics of it, and people like it. Or another one, Receptify. I don't know if you know Receptify.
I don't.
They made your Spotify listening habits into a receipt that you could see, like an itemized bill. It was so fun. They adore new technology, new ideas like that, and they very much encourage developers to go in, get their hands dirty, and build something that it can be very, very cool. Recently, a lot of people have been scared because Spotify has been changing their guidelines on developers to close down the ecosystem a lot more. What they don't understand is Spotify is actually very open to developers. They're doing this because a lot of industries right now that are a bit controversial are scraping a lot of information and are abusing those developer like tools. So if you have a good idea, implement it and present it to the team. They're very, very open. There's so many channels that you can get into to talk to the team and get your ideas off the ground. Don't be scared, like I said, to talk. The worst thing you can do is not try. And they're really like, they really like seeing what people do with their products. They really like seeing what they invent and what stuff, they couldn't have thought of doing. So being able to go out there and kind of just throwing the ball at ideas, the best thing you can do. Another idea that they really liked was there's this social media that kind of like showed what other people were listening to, but in a more like swipey Tindery way.
Yeah.
And it's been a hit. It's been a big hit. They very much love stuff like that and encourage people to build.
What was it like for you as a developer yourself, reaching out to someone like that? What did you have? Were you nervous? Were you not nervous? What was it like from your perspective?
Thankfully, I already knew some people at the team. I was fortunate enough to get invited as a guest of honor to a conference that happened in San Francisco, a design conference. That was after the phone came out, and I got to meet people at Spotify, at Adobe. I got to meet people at Figma, at GitHub, and kind of that opened the door for it. But again, I didn't get the idea of making a jammer at the time. The jammer came because a friend and I were just hassling and out of frustration of sharing links in VR because it's terrible. It's horrible. Kind of. But there has to be a better way, and there was. So, kind of those types of ideas, like for me, most of the time come from frustration. Like the phone, I was frustrated with OBS. The jammer, I was frustrated with. Oh, not OBS. Overlays. I was frustrated with overlays. The jammer, I was frustrated with sharing links in VR. For VRCQR, the same thing. I was frustrated with taking a picture and waiting, and then. For Shazam on the jammer, being able to know what is going on in the world. There's so many good DJs that are gatekeepers of their music.
The same thing as you says, reach out to developers. DJs are very willing to share music, like all the time.
That is,
yeah. You just, as you said, just reach out to them. They'll tell you. Sometimes they just dump gigs of music on top of you.
Oh my goodness, I've never asked for a developer. I mean, kind of, yeah, I guess. At the same time, kind of, I think it's a bit different. Because when you're DJing, you play the song, and then, that's such a good song! You go to ask for it, and you don't remember what the song is.
Yeah.
And then, or kind of, it's a 3-4 hour set, like at Plurality. But there's just set after set after set, and the creators aren't even there. So.
Oh, so I just want to ask about the conference you were invited to, Mask. What was it like being invited and going there, Mask, from where you were at the time? What was the experience like?
Oh my god, the plane ride was horrible. The plane ride, like, I can get into the story. I'll never fly American Airlines ever again. I'll just say that.
Fair enough.
But no, the conference itself was so much fun. There was a lot of very, very like talented and very cool people, but at the time I didn't kind of like know my own advice of talking to more people. Thankfully, they were very extroverted, so I kind of got by pure osmosis. I got kind of like dragged into things, and I got to meet a lot of people and go to a lot of places. Like I met the free pick people. They're very cool. I got a skateboard. They gave me a skateboard.
Ooh. Oh, that's
But
pretty cool.
like at the time, I kind of like I wasn't aware of, if you ask someone, they'll probably be nice, and they're probably kind of like help you out. So it was very intimidating because there was also a lot of like big name people in the industry. There was the chief of design at Crunchyroll, the chief of design at Disney, and chief of design at Crunchyroll. He's crazy. I love that man. um, but no, just I was very intimidated by it. Thankfully, kind of I had help from people that I met along the way, but it was intimidating.
Hmm. What were some of the things that you've taken from the conference? Maybe something you've learned, or maybe something inspired you while you were there.
Oh, that was what taught me to talk to people. Like
Oh, really?
how that conference is what showed me you can just come to someone and just talk about your passions and talk and ask them about their passions. Most of the time, if you too are passionate about something and you ask a question that is very interesting, they will their eyes will light up. For example, I was talking with Atlas. Atlas is one of the directors of Reality, and we were talking about coordination for kind of these big events. Most people ask him like, "Oh my goodness, how do you do it?" But if you come and ask more and more questions like, "How did you manage to do this specifically?" or you come with a very intriguing question, they're like, yes, I want to talk about this. They will 100% do it.
Hmm. Oh, well, thank you very much for answering. I have another question for you as well.
Yeah, of
Was
course.
the community in which that purchases your product and interacts with you, what were some of your first experiences with your community like, and what were some interactions that have stuck with you?
uh let's see. Honestly, the one I remember the most, the first time I got recognized.
Oh,
I still consider myself a pretty niche creator. I don't think I have the pool of someone like Meaty, like Lindy, like Value Factory, where their assets reach thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Um, but we were at some kind of meetup, and a very, very nervous Avali, and Avali's little bird, very, very tiny, came by and kind of looked at me and in a very soft tone of voice said hi. And I said hi back. And they said, "Hey, I really admire what you do. And I really am like, can we take a picture?" That first time, I think it's what has stuck most to me. Kind of how I can be, you know, like someone looks up to. It's strange.
oh, well, you do amazing stuff. Like, for example,
Thank
I
you.
will tell you, think about the journey you've been on so far. I think you've gone quite far for someone who just kind of put on a headset one day and come into VR chat.
Right.
Like, you're making a living
Yeah.
for what you do. You're making assets people are buying and stuff like that. The people you've met and the people you've worked with that you've told us stories about so far here on the show. I think you're getting pretty big yourself. You should be very proud of yourself.
Oh, don't jinx it.
I would knock. Wait, I can knock on wood. Where'd it go? There you go. Oh,
Because
well,
I guess that is a fear. I don't want to get big. I find it overwhelming. Kind of seeing the amount of pool and influence and just kind of reach some of these creators have. I find it very difficult to like convince myself that I am responsible enough to be given that responsibility.
You know, I was actually in a conversation recently about this very topic, and I will summarize it with a little bit. The fact that you're worried about being responsible for that kind of pull tells me you're ready for that kind of thing. Because a lot of people, when they get there, get to the name and status, don't think about it. They just kind of like, one day they have it, they just kind of let their mouth run. And the fact that you're putting it on the first of your mind, I think says a lot about you. And I think you are ready for something like that, if that's something you're thinking about now.
Oh my god. Just the other thing is working with bigger companies, it's very intimidating too. Mostly because I have to keep a pristine image. I am not representing, but somehow I'm the face of certain brands and of certain companies that work with me. But somehow that is scary. I find it scary. Just kind of, being able to speak or not speak, but kind of like show a certain facet of yourself and stuff like that to the people, and you send yourself in an image that is not terrible. Kind of, uh, just I consider myself very irresponsible. I
You're doing a wonderful job.
just kind of being an inspiration is scary, and there's a lot of stuff that, for example, I tell people not to reference. That the phone, it's a horrible. The tech in that is 2023 tech. At that point, fucking, excuse me, contacts were just getting like introduced, and it's just no, it's too much.
Have more faith in your creations. You know, there's a story I share with a lot of people in terms of like art and building things.
Mhm.
There's an author named H.P. Lovecraft. One of his more well-known pieces is something he loathed for various reasons. It was written poorly, didn't have a good story. It was only till after he passed away, when his family found it, that it was published, and it became one of our more well-known things, which is The Shadow over Innsmouth. So, like translating this to here, have more faith in your product. You may not like it, but there are people out there who think it's the most amazing thing out there.
I guess so, yeah. I don't know. I'm someone who likes being proud of their work. I am very proud of the song thing. I'm very proud of the jammer. I've put a lot of effort into those products. And I hope you can see on the product page and on the scripts that I write. The same thing goes with my tools. I really put a lot of love into what I do. And kind of looking back into some of the stuff I've made in the past, I don't feel proud of that. Like, if you put a table in front of me and put your best work, I want to put a lot of stuff into that.
I still think you should be proud of that, because it's from the journey story you told us. It's where you started. Like, if you're to take a step back, turn around and look at the journey, I'd say the products you made in the beginning is what enabled you to become who you are now. So be proud of the steps and journey you've been on. It may not be the same person you are today and the same creation, but you made it. It helps you pay for stuff in college. Enough people bought it or allowed you to. It's got to say something about its worth.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, and I mean, like, this is my living. I make a living of selling assets and promoting stuff. I'm very thankful for it. I'm very thankful for my community too. I've never had a problem where it's been rude or problematic. I've had some inexperienced people, but never rude, never mean, and I'm very thankful for the people who have come and kind of like allowed me to do what I do.
So I'm going to ask this next question, which is, did you expect the journey you've been on since you put on the headset for the first time, since you come into social VR chat?
I didn't have any expectations. I came into this just kind of wanting to have an escape. It was the middle of the pandemic. We couldn't go out. I couldn't do anything. I was like, just let's just try this out. And I think that is also kind of something that I have, but like another perspective that I maintain today, and that is I don't really hold any expectations, but kind of that is very freeing because it allows me to do what I want to do. I don't, I can one day work on a Discord bot. Excuse me. Another day I can work on another asset. I can help some creators. You'll see slowly. I like getting my grubby little hands into a lot of projects. You'll see it around like the creative space, but just having no expectations allows me to just do what I want.
Ooh. Well, I'm gonna ask the last couple of questions now before we wrap up. First is the name used in VRChat. Where'd it come from, and why do you use it?
Oh, don't ask me that.
Oh, I'm gonna ask you that now. I'm curious.
So when I was younger, I was a big fan of Adventure Time. The dubbed version of Adventure Time, there was an episode in which there was this little hairless gray goblin helping Ice King, and in the dub they called him Giuseppe. I didn't know how to spell Giuseppe. Giuseppe is an Italian name. He's Gius. Blah 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 blah. This is a butchering of that name, and he just stuck.
That's actually really neat. I like that. That's a pretty cool way to get a screen name. You're not the only one to have picked their name from a TV show. I did too. Avatar: The Last Airbender is where mine's from.
Lantro. Yeah, I see that.
So the last question is the avatar you use. Where'd it come from? Why do you choose it? And is there anything about it that means anything to you?
Yeah. So I used the Rex for the longest time. It's like I love the Rex. I think it's a great model. But I wanted to do something more of my own. So I took the wagon and I surgically picked it apart. I tortured that thing and turned it into this. This is a little custom edit that I made for it. I poured a lot of effort into this model, into the little animations on the ears. This is a cool little system. I learned this from Brasileiro. These are fist bones actually driving the ears. So it detects when my head is tilting down or upwards, side to side, based on my torso. That way, if I do this, the ears go down. Or if I do this, the ears go down too. They behave
Interesting.
Like that. They react with my eyes, with the way I blink. It's a lot of effort I put into this feeling me. I made my clothes. This one, no. The creator of the pants is very good creator. But I made the sweater. I made a lot of my other clothes. I make a lot of kind of this stuff that I wear and I identify with. I'm very, very fashion prone. I like fashion. So you'll see me wear some crazy outfits.
Ooh. Well, again, thank you so very much, Yeusepe, for coming on and letting us hear your tale and journey. It's been an absolute honor.
Thank you for having me. Yeah. Thank you for having me and this pleasurable conversation. I'm remembering a lot of stuff that I didn't remember. Oh my god.
It's one of the reasons why I like going into these without a script. Because sometimes the best conversational journey is one that is not planned. Like, for example, the one that we just had now. If I was to plan the questions and how the conversation would go, it wouldn't have been as nearly as fun and interesting if I was as what we did now. Sorry, my brain's starting to turn off. It's the first
interview I do. It's the first interview I do where I don't get sent the questions beforehand. That was scary. I have to be very kind of media trained. So
if it's any consolation with you, I have no problem stopping an interview and then media training somebody. I have no problem here's the do's and don'ts of what you do. Even though I'm a friendly bean, Pretend that I'm a person who's adversarial. Always pretend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have to choose my words very carefully. I mean, a lot of the stuff I do mean it. But a lot of the stuff I have to kind of censor or kind of pull back a lot. And a lot of these big brands don't like certain faces of certain brands, being obscene or talking bad about some stuff or mentioning some other topics. So I have to be very, very careful with what
I understand. Luckily, I'm only here to get to know you and hear your historical journey. On Metaverse Degen, Raptor and I, when he first started doing interviews, we were just curious about the people that call this place home, and we just wanted to get to know historically log things. And it wasn't the initial goal. We just wanted to get to know people. Historically logging, we found, came later, but it is our motto now. So we're not here to get clips of you for clickbait content. We're not trying to make people look bad. We're not looking for hit sensations. We're just kind of logging the space as it is. So we're not here to make you look bad, I promise.
Thank God. I don't know what kind of edit you're gonna make out of this.
Oh,
you're gonna stitch my words.
We have very minimal editing. How the conversation went is how it goes. Yeah, we try to keep it as close to live streamed as possible. Although record it. So we record ahead of time because, unfortunately, between my day job and stuff, I can't really edit things quickly. So it gives me a month to process and edit. But we try to keep things as minimal editing as possible, just to have the conversation be when you come in and listen to an episode, what you're listening to is exactly how it happened. So you don't have to worry about. At least that's how Raptor and I do it. We've kind of worked hard to add our conversational ability. We started with garbage, to be honest with you. But instead of editing in the backside or the video editor, we tried editing with words. How do we have a conversation flow better? How can we tell if someone is nervous? How do we work our way out of that? We found making people laugh works very well. So when a person's a shy bean and starting to get nervous, crack some jokes, they'll laugh, they'll relax. So we're not going to edit anything out of context. The most editing you'll get is we make a short from something you said. And there's a few, if I was actually thinking about that during the podcast, some things you said, I was trying to make mental notes of where that was. Because you said some really amazing things, I will say. You're very insightful.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and that's really cool. Kind of, I don't know, yeah. A lot of podcasts kind of do this format, but I like it. It's fun. Well, I don't know if you could tell, I was a little bit nervous sometimes.
I could tell.
Kind of not having the questions prepared. You could see a lot of crutch words, the ums and the uhs, me thinking what to say.
I think the ums and uhs and the little flaws that most will edit out, I think is what allows people to see you for who you are. At least for me as Lion who runs this podcast, when someone listens into the podcast with Yeusepe and they listen to you, if I was to edit the ahs and ums and little flaws when they met you, you will seem a little different from what they listen to. But when they listen to this and listen to you, you'll sound the same. You'll be the same. You'll kind of have the same mannerisms. So I'm not curating this thing for a perfect little niche square. I don't want perfect. I want you. That's why I want to talk with you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, with that being said,
that's a great purpose.
If the audience wishes to reach out and talk with you, where would they reach out and go?
Well, you can go to my website. My website has everything. Is yeusepe.club. That is yeusepe.club. There you'll find my Twitter, my Discord. You'll find my stores, my booth, my Gumroad, everything.
Oh, well, thank you so very much for coming on. It was an absolute honor.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun.
Ooh. And at this point, we'll interact with you, the audience, a little bit. I want to ask you a question. What was something someone said that inspired you? I'm going to be honest with you. There was actually, for me, myself, I'll answer my own questions to give you, to hopefully inspire you to answer the question yourself. I was actually the other day, I was going through a Dr. Mora world with my girlfriend at the time, or here as of now. And we were looking around the art gallery of his most recent post. And she asked me a question that inspired me to want to write something. And she asked, what would it be like if there was an apocalypse and where the only view of the real world, how we see now, is through these photos? what would it be like, and what would your thoughts be? And it was a very interesting question. And be honest, it was a very honest one that kind of made me think, what would it be like if the world was destroyed and the only view of foliage and greenery in society is these photos? With that being said, I'd love to hear yours. Please let us know. I enjoy reading those. That being said, see you in the metaverse, folks.
I wonder if we can ride the train and go inside the fucking over there. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. How big
It
that wall is.
goes
though.
in there and goes around. Why? And it goes around.
Oh, it does. Holy shit.
Fuck yeah, it goes fucking around. I don't know where it goes. Like I said, I just got here. I don't know where everything is.
Huh.
I have to check this place out.
Definitely. We're going to have to.
There's another one. There's another one I got to show you that it's
Oh?
called the, yeah, hold on. Another one is called the Cozy Woods. That one's cool.
Oh, okay. We're definitely going to check that out, too. There's a bunch we're going to have to check out.
Yeah, there's some new ones in.